Shalom, we praise Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Harakah, Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well. And shalom to the whole elect. This is a rebuttal video to this video by FOPI, Israelites, or FOPI, which basically is entitled "The Truth Must Come Out, Israel." And this is basically, a rebuttal video to show that the truth they're talking about is a lie and that they've been swayed by demonic doctrines into something that ain't of the truth, right? All it's actually doing is stirring up more attention, right? Uh, Let me grab this scripture really quickly. Bear with me one moment. Hold on. Nope. Bear with me. No, this is just an impromptu video. So forgive me. Okay. So it's 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Alright? Which some profess and have erred concerning the faith. Grace be with thee. Amen. Alright? So the main point being, we're told to avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Right? And basically that's dealing with this doctrine that's been mentioned, right? Is vain, and it's it's a false doctrine basically. Vain babbling. Alright, I'll follow up by so I'm gonna read 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So when you study this word, what you're actually meant to do is, the apostles of Great Millstone have 100% truth. They're the only camp out there that and this is it's very prolific saying this in Israel to those that are, don't believe this, but it's a true statement. The apostles of Great Millstone have the 100% truth. They're the only camp in the whole of the nation of Israel that have the 100% truth. There's some that teach according, the same doctrine, but in terms of being the heads over the nation of Israel, you have the apostles of Great Millstone, all right? They're in that seat, all right, the judgment seat, starting with Apostle Tahar, Apostle Kabar, Apostle Rakar, Apostle Ramlab, on down to the elders and the elders in the camps all over the world, etc., and all the brothers. So with that being said, when they teach, what you ought to do is to actually go into what they're saying and basically, see if it be true, okay? Now, that's why it says study to show thyself approved, right? So, a workman needeth not to be ashamed, so you don't have shame fall upon you. And I ain't making this video for a come up or to cause shame and get one over you. It's just correction. I just watched the video and it ain't right what you're saying, all right? And I see holes in the things that you're saying, so I just have to bring forth this video. It says, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Yep, and they will increase unto more ungodliness. This video and your doctrine is basically gonna cause, what you're actually doing is you're actually further scattering the nation of Israel, that we're working. You're basically wolves, or the hireling that don't care for the sheep. All right, you're basically scattering the sheep, the flock abroad, as opposed you're basically breaking up the work that we're doing in gathering the nation of Israel. You're coming about and you're scattering them, causing more problems than needed. All right. So
First of all, I want to
that
give
being
all
said,
praises to the Most High, Yahweh. That's your brother, Shawshin Allah. Coming to y'all live. This video, we Acts 5:29. We also talking about Yahweh relevant men. And we also did a class on Sojourners, proving that we have a bunch of Sojourner Israelites in the nation of Israel. Everybody Ephraim was doing adultery. Well, not adultery, Salakia. When you go into the scriptures where it talks about Ephraim being a king unturned, he mixed himself with black Negroid Indian descent. Yes, we haven't been on YouTube, but some of us will look like them, but majority of them is not. We broke black Negroid Indian descent. If you're not that, you're not an Israelite. So some of us will look like them, but majority of them is not. We broke down Hosea 7 and 8, proving that has nothing to do with the Puerto Ricans. And Ephraim is being a cake unturned. When you go into the scriptures,
now I'm gonna have to rewind this. Bear with me one moment, because of the video playback is very low.
the majority of so-called Hispanics, unless they Negroid or black Negroid Indian descent. If you're not that, you're not an Israelite. So some of us will look like them, but majority of them is not. We broke down Hosea 7 and 8, proving that has nothing to do with the Puerto Ricans. And Ephraim is being a cake unturned. When you go into the scriptures where it talks about Ephraim being a cake unturned, he mixed himself with the people. Where it says he mixed, the Hebrew word is balal. It don't mean sexual anything. When you look it up in the Hebrew word, it just means the whole scripture is talking about Ephraim was doing adultery. Well, not adultery, Salakia. He was doing idolatry. When you deal with it.
So I'm just gonna go with the point that he mentioned. He said, look, first of all, he said there's some people out there. The confusion in what he's saying is it just says everything. He said, yeah, there's some people out there that will look like the Ephraim, as you know, so-called Puerto Ricans, but for the most part, they're Negroes, all right? Which, in saying that, already says that there's something you don't even need to go there with it. The fact that you're saying there's a possibility, there's brothers that look like that and they are Israelites. Now, why do you have to say that they're all Negroes? Because you're creating confusion now. Because now you're saying from this, like the ones that are already here, they're Israelites, but the ones that are gonna come now, they're gonna be sojourners or whatnot. They're not really gonna actually be Israelites, all right? Now, the main thing I want to harp on is this scripture, Hosea 7 and 8, right? Because he basically said, mixed himself among the people has nothing to do with, it's not sexual, he said it's to do with idolatry, all right? First and then he, if you watch the video, it actually goes into, mixing yourself amongst among the people, and it was done by idolatry, believe in what they believe. Now we're just gonna debunk that straight out. We just have to go Blue Letter Bible, and as it said in 2 Timothy 2:15, it's pretty straightforward. So the word here is for mixed in the Lashon Kodash, the Paleo Hebrew, all right, as the scholars call it. Strong's H1 1101, all right, Balal, okay, which basically, when you go through it, says to mix, mingle, confuse, confound. Before I go anywhere, if people mix with each other, what's the only way two people can mix? You have a thing known as, in England, I know you call it in America biracial, but in England it's actually called mixed race. All right. And how do those mixed race people come about? All right. That's a question. How do they come about? By a man and a woman having sex that have two opposing races. You know, it could be any variation of races. They lie together, then they produce what the world would call a mixed race baby. All right. And that's on a worldly term. So let's get more into it. To mix, mingle, confuse, confound. All right. To mingle, confuse. All right. To mix. To give provender. Feed animals. To mix oneself among others. So how would you mix oneself among others? All right. He said that you do have some people that are of See, this is why it's just confusion, because you shouldn't open your mouth, man, and say this, because you're just trying to confound those. You're more or less becoming an enemy to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Harakah Kadash. Now, he said that you do have some people that will look like Ephraim. So if you have some people that will look like Ephraim, and you're saying the original tribes are Negro, how then do they get from point A to point B? Point A being the fact that they were Negroes, and point B being that they're now so-called looking like a heathen, which, according to you, which is Puerto Rican, all right? How did they get to that point? By having sex, all right? And I'm going off your point, all right? I'm not saying it from my point. I'm saying if you're saying, what you're saying is that some of them would look like Puerto Ricans, but that's a few, not all of them. How do they go from being Negroes, as you say that we're all Negro-looking tribes, to looking like so-called Indian tribes? They would have had to have sex with someone in their lineage previously, and then at some point, through the mixing of the seed, so to speak, the mixing of the races, so to speak, you would have ended up looking like a Puerto Rican, all right? Which is nothing wrong looking like a Puerto Rican, because, I mean, that's one of the tribes of Israel. You know what I mean? So just to show you, that's really the point, man. That he said this little thing here about, Balal, meaning to mix. The main takeaway you need to take away from this is that it says to mix oneself among others. He tried to say idolatry. No, it's speaking about the mixing by way of sex, all right? And I know what they're saying. They're saying, oh, yeah, it's to do with idolatry. And listen, bruv, my guy, look, you can just look at the application of this word. It's about mixing things together, all right? So, for example, Leviticus 2 and 4, it says, and if thou bring an oblation of a meat offering baken in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mingled with oil. All right? So that's two different things coming together to make a new thing. All right? So, don't play stupid. All right? Mixing is mixing. If people mix, what happens? They mix and they produce the offspring of that mixture. So let's read the scripture. It's very simple. Hosea 7:8. Ephraim, he have mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. A cake not turned. One side has been exposed to the heat, all right, and the other has not been. Like if you take a pancake, you put pancake mixture on a pan, all right, you have the top, it's uncooked, it's going to be very pale, but the other side, it'll be brown, basically. And that's basically Ephraim, all right? Ephraim is a cake not turned. It's variants. You have dark-skinned Ephraimites, you have light-skinned Ephraimites, okay? And that's because they've mixed themselves among the people. What people did they mix themselves among? The Spaniards that came over during the conquest, all right? So it's that simple. It's not that deep, man. So that's really just an impromptu video. I pray you're edified. Don't follow them. They got enough Fopi. You guys are got enough, man. You lot said that you stopped going out on the street because you didn't want to be seen of men. No, listen, the Lord said, prophesy unto the wind, man. Even if it don't matter, man, what you want to do. Oh, we don't want to be seen of. No, the Lord said that's part of you having His word is you pushing it out there on the highways and byways. That's how